Young Sunny here to share with you some of the interesting aspects of the number 42. It is definitely one of my favorite numbers, if not my favorite number, and numbers have been pretty interesting to me almost my entire life. I was actually recruited to go to the Johns Hopkins Center for Talented Youth as a child, the same school that Mark Zuckerberg went to, and competed in mathematics throughout my academic career. So when I investigated the number 42, I was not disappointed. And I originally stumbled upon this video from Numberphile maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And once I got into the details of this video, I was not disappointed. There are definitely some interesting things about the number, but the most popular thing about this number is that it was featured in Douglas Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is a very, very popular book if you're not familiar with it. And the gist of it is that the human civilization wanted to know what the meaning of life was, so they built a huge computer, which took a long time to return an answer to that question. But when it finally did, the number was 42. Why? Well, Douglas Adams just said it was a funny number. However, there are definitely some interesting mathematical properties, and let's get into those. So, the first thing about the number 42 is that it's pronic. And pronic means that two consecutive integers multiplied by each other result in the pronic number. So, what we see here is that 6 times 7 equals 42. That's pretty straightforward, right? Doesn't seem to have that much importance. And here's a list of the pronic numbers. You can see here 0, 2, 6, 12, 20, 30, 42, 56, 72, 90, 110, etc., etc. And so a pronic number is relatively common. However, one of the interesting interpretations that I've heard about this, and it's just one of those things that's fun to think about, but it's very difficult to prove, obviously, is that perhaps 6 is representative of the devil or hell, and 7 is representative of God or heaven. And so 42 is the balance of heaven and hell, perhaps, or it's the culmination of both. That's a little woo-woo for a lot of you. I think, again, it's just one of those things that's fun to think about, but I don't read too deep into it. And again, a pronic number is relatively common, so without there being some unique identifying characteristic, it's hard to think that maybe Douglas Adams was considering that when he selected the number 42 as the answer to the meaning of life in his book. The next aspect of the number 42 to cover is that it is a primary pseudoperfect number. What does that mean? Well, let's break it down. Primary. First, you need to go ahead and identify the primary factors of the number 42. And a primary number is going to be a number that's only divisible by itself and 1. Now, a factor is a number that your original number is divisible by. So we're looking for two things. One, out of the list of all the numbers that 42 is divisible by, we want to identify just those that are primary. And so to do that quickly, I'm going to share with you what they are. The first one is 2, because 42 divided by 2 is 21. The next one is 3, because 42 divided by 3 is 14. And the next one is 7, because the number 42 divided by 7 is 6. So now that we have the primary numbers, what we do is we have to put them to the negative 1 power. And that basically means that we draw a 1 divided by and then those numbers. So we're looking at 1 divided by 2 plus 1 divided by 3 plus 1 divided by 7. And then the last little trick is you then take the original number itself. So then you add all that to 1 over 42 and you get 1 exactly, which is pretty crazy, right? If we look at the list of primary pseudoperfect numbers here, you'll see that they are not as common as pronic numbers. And you'll notice that 2 and 6 and 42 are the closest that you'll see 3 Pronic numbers, because after that you have to go deep to start finding the next one. Quite interesting. Now, the last aspect of this number 42 is that it's a Hashard number. And a Hashard number means that if you were to take a sum of the 2 digits that compose your integer, if that original number is divisible by the sum of those digits, it's a Hashard number. So how do we work that out? Well, 4 plus 2 is 6, and 42 divided by 6 is 7. Hashard. Very interesting. Now the last little snippet I'm going to share with you is that the International Math Olympiad score, perfect score, is actually out of 42. So there may be something to this. And again, I definitely want to credit Numberphile for being the source of all this information, or at least for shining the light on it for me to pick up back when I originally investigated this number. And I hope you found this even half as interesting as I did, because for some reason or another I've always been attracted to the number 6, and the number 6 definitely seems to play a role in the uniqueness of this number 42. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Jan Stunna, and you have a great day. Peace!